High Commander Vazix stared through the viewport of the Dominion flagship Eternal Conquest at the blue-green planet hanging in the void before him. Such a primitive, unsuspecting world. His four eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of anticipation among the Kravorn. "What a miserable little mudball," he said, mandibles clicking with each syllable. "And yet, resource analysis says it contains the largest concentration of Quantium-40 in this sector." Strategic Officer Lorix approached from behind, her exoskeleton gleaming under the ship's ambient lighting. "The inhabitants call it Earth, High Commander. Their civilization is pre-warp, barely achieved lunar visitation. Assessment indicates minimal resistance capability." Vazix let out a rumbling sound from his throat sacs, the Kravorn equivalent of a laugh. "Ah, another species about to learn their place in the cosmic hierarchy. How many worlds does this make now, Lorix? 57? 58? 63 subjugated planets," High Commander Lorix corrected, tapping data into her neural interface. "The Dominion expands ever outward, as is our right and destiny." Indeed. Vazix turned from the viewport, his towering 3-meter frame casting long shadows across the command deck. "Prepare the standard first contact protocol. Message of superiority, demand for surrender, demonstration of power if needed." The usual dance. Lorix hesitated. "Sir, intelligence suggests these humans might be unpredictable. They spend an unusual percentage of resources on warfare despite having only one planet." Vazix waved a clawed hand dismissively. "Every species thinks they are special, Lorix. Every single one. Yet they all end up the same, mining Quantium-40 for the glory of the Dominion. These humans will be no different." "As you command," Lorix said, bowing slightly before returning to her station. Communications Officer Dresk turned from his console. "High Commander, we are receiving transmissions from the planet. Their primitive communications satellites have detected our arrival." "Put it on screen," Vazix ordered, settling into his command throne. The view screen flickered to life, showing a human female in a blue uniform, her face a mask of practiced calm, despite the obvious strain in her voice. "Unknown vessel. This is Admiral Tanya Williams of Earth United Defense. You have entered restricted space. Please identify yourself and state your purpose." Vazix smiled, revealing rows of serrated teeth. "How quaint. They think they own this space." He nodded to Dresk. "Respond with Protocol Alpha 7. "Yes, High Commander." The message was transmitted, the standard Dominion greeting that had preceded the fall of 63 civilizations. "Attention, inhabitants of the planet designated Earth. We are the Kravorn Dominion, masters of 7 galactic sectors. Your world contains resources vital to our continued expansion. Surrender now and accept your place as a protectorate. And you may continue to exist under our benevolent guidance. Resist, and you will be subjugated by force. You have 6 planetary rotations to comply." Vazix leaned back, already bored with the proceedings. These encounters always played out the same way: shock, denial, feeble attempts at resistance, then inevitable surrender. The Dominion's technology was simply too advanced, their military might too overwhelming for any pre-warp civilization to withstand. "Begin scanning their defense capabilities," he ordered, "and prepare the subjugation fleet." 3 days later, Vazix found himself unexpectedly summoned from his rest cycle. Something was wrong. "What is it?" he demanded as he strode onto the command deck, irritated at having his scheduled meditation interrupted. Science Officer Zentar looked up from his station, all 6 of his eyes blinking rapidly, a sign of distress among their kind. "High Commander, we have been analyzing the humans' response to our ultimatum." "And? Did they surrender as any rational species would?" "No, sir. They have unified. You—" Vazix paused. "Explain." Lorix stepped forward, her usual confidence noticeably diminished. "Prior to our arrival, the planet was divided into approximately 200 separate political entities. Within 48 hours of our message, they have formed a unified defense coalition. Every major military power has pooled resources. So they have banded together for a last stand, Vazik said with a shrug of his armored shoulders. It makes no difference. Our weapons technology exceeds theirs by at least 5 centuries. There's more, Zentar continued. They have been studying our ships. Somehow, they detected the scanning beams we used to assess their defenses and have been using them to gather data on our hull composition. Now Vazik felt a twinge of unease. How is that possible? Their technology shouldn't be capable of such analysis. Unknown, sir, but they are adaptive. Extremely adaptive. The command deck fell silent as the massive view screen activated. The same human female appeared, but now she stood in what appeared to be a global command center, surrounded by representatives of various human nations. Kra Vorn Dominion, Admiral Williams began, her voice eerily calm. We have considered your offer of surrender. Here is our response. The screen split to show multiple locations around the planet. In each one, humans were mobilizing factories converting to weapons production, civilian vessels being retrofitted with makeshift armor, satellites being repositioned. Earth does not surrender to bullies, Williams continued. We have studied your ships. We have identified structural weaknesses. And unlike the 63 worlds before us, we will not go quietly. Vazik felt his throat sacs constrict. How do they know about the 63 worlds? He hissed. He hissed. Lorix looked equally disturbed. They must have decrypted some of our communications, sir. Williams wasn't finished. You see, the funny thing about humans is that we spend our entire history fighting each other. War is our specialty. Peace? We are still working on that. But warfare? We have perfected it. So, when an actual external threat comes along, she smiled, and for the first time, Vazik understood what a predatory species truly looked like. Well, suddenly all our practice has a purpose. The transmission ended. Vazik stood frozen for a moment before snarling, "Launch the first wave. Now, no more protocols. Show these primitives what real power looks like." The initial assault should have been simple. 50 Dominion destroyers against a planet with no space-based weapons, a textbook subjugation. It was not simple. How many ships lost? Vazik demanded, pacing the command deck as damage reports flooded in. 17 destroyers, High Commander Lorix reported, her voice hollow with disbelief. The humans, they repurposed their nuclear missiles. Instead of trying to breach our shields directly, they detonated them nearby, creating electromagnetic pulses that disabled our systems momentarily. Then they followed with kinetic projectiles simple, and metal slugs accelerated to incredible speeds. Primitive but effective, Zentar added. They identified the radiation recyclers as a vulnerability. Without those, our shields cannot recharge. Vazik slammed a clawed fist into a nearby console, cracking its surface. Impossible. No pre-warp species has ever countered our technology so quickly. That's not all, Dresk interrupted. We are detecting unusual activity on their moon. They have constructed something there in the past 48 hours. Show me, Vazik ordered. The view screen displayed Earth's moon, where a massive railgun had been assembled, apparently using parts from multiple human space stations. They cannibalized their own orbital infrastructure to build weapons, Lorix said, a note of reluctant admiration in her voice. And they are using our own scanning technology against us, pinpointing our fleet movements. Vazik felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries of conquest, doubt. Launch the second wave, he commanded, all remaining destroyers. Target their command centers first. The second wave fared no better than the first. The humans had learned, adapted, and prepared. Their lunar railgun took out 7 destroyers before they could even enter firing range. Earth-based lasers technology the humans shouldn't have been able to develop so quickly disabled 9 more. And then came the true surprise. High Commander. Zentar's voice was nearly a shriek. They have launched vessels. Warships. Impossible, Vazik breathed. They didn't have spacecraft capable of combat 3 days ago. They didn't, Lorix confirmed. These appear to be civilian spacecraft hastily converted into military vessels. They are crude but effective. The view screen showed dozens of human ships rising from Earth. Most were clearly repurposed space stations or satellites, bristling with improvised weapons. They moved in formations that suggested military precision, targeting the weakened Dominion fleet with surprising effectiveness. They are communicating on frequencies we considered too primitive to monitor, Dresk reported, coordinating their attacks across all fronts. A human voice crackled over the command deck speakers they'd hacked into the Dominion's communication system somehow. Attention, Krah-Vorn vessels. This is General Marcus Reed of the Earth Defense Force. You came expecting sheep. You found wolves. Each of your ships we destroy gives us more of your technology to use against you. I suggest you reconsider your position while you still have ships to retreat in. Vazix roared in fury. Bring the flagship into attack position. I will lead the final assault myself. Lorix stepped forward, mandibles tight with tension. High Commander, I must advise against this course of action. The humans have demonstrated capabilities far beyond our initial assessment. We should withdraw and reassess. Withdraw? Vazix spat the word like poison. The Dominion does not withdraw. We conquer. We subjugate. We are the apex predators of this galaxy. With respect, sir, Lorix said quietly, I believe we may have encountered another apex predator. The Eternal Conquest moved into Earth orbit, its massive form dwarfing the improvised human fleet. This was the flagship of the Dominion, a vessel that had witnessed the fall of dozens of civilizations. Its weapons systems could glass continents. All batteries, prepare to fire, Vazix commanded. Target their largest population centers. Let's see how quickly their unity crumbles when their cities burn. But before the order could be carried out, alarms blared across the command deck. Multiple breaches reported in lower decks. A security officer shouted, "We are being boarded." Boarded? Vazix couldn't comprehend it. How? Our shields are at full strength. They used our own supply transporters against us, Zentar explained, checking the data with growing horror. When we recalibrated our shields to counter their EMP attacks, it created a harmonic vulnerability in our transporter frequencies. They piggybacked on our supply drones' return signals. Seal all bulkheads. Vazix ordered. Deploy security teams. But it was too late. The humans had studied Krah-Vorn ship design from the destroyed destroyers. They knew exactly where to strike. They are heading for the central power core, Lorix reported. And they have planted devices throughout the ship, some kind of explosive packages. Vazix felt true fear ripple through his exoskeleton. Evacuate the command staff to the escape vessels. Now. As the command crew rushed to comply, the view screen activated one final time. Admiral Williams stared back at him, her expression grim but satisfied. You know what your biggest mistake was, Commander Vazix? You gave us time. 6 days, you said. 6 days to prepare, to study, to learn. You should have just attacked immediately. Vazix snarled, How do you know my name? Williams smiled. We broke your encryption 20 minutes after you sent your first message. We know everything about the Dominion now. Your homeworld coordinates, your fleet deployments, your technological weaknesses. This isn't over, Vazix growled. The Dominion spans 7 sectors. This is merely one fleet. Oh, I'm counting on that, Williams replied. Because here's what happens next. We are going to take your ships, what's left of them, and your technology. We are going to reverse engineer everything. And then, Commander Vazix, we are going to pay your Dominion a visit. Because if there's one thing humans hate more than anything else, it's a bully. Lay. The transmission cut off as the first explosions rocked the flagship. Vazix stood amid the chaos of his crumbling command, facing a truth no Krah-Vorn had ever had to confront. They had awoken something terrible in the darkness of space. Not just another civilization to be conquered, but a species forged in the fires of their own conflicts, tempered by millennia of warfare against themselves. And now that violence, that terrible efficiency, had found a new target. The Dominion had wanted Earth's resources. They would instead face Earth's wrath. Zix's escape pod tumbled through space, its systems barely functional after the hasty departure from the disintegrating flagship. Through the small viewport, he watched the Eternal Conquest break apart, great chunks of Dominion engineering now reduced to orbiting debris around the accursed blue planet. 64, he muttered to himself. 64 worlds we conquered without significant resistance. And then this. The pod's communication system crackled to life. "Hi, Commander. This is Strategic Officer Lorix. Do you read me?" "I read you," Vazix responded, his voice hollow. "Status report. 8 escape vessels accounted for, including yours and mine. Science Officer Zentar and Communications Officer Dresk are confirmed lost. The humans have captured at least 3 intact destroyers and the remains of the flagship." Vazix closed his 4 eyes in sequence, a gesture of profound distress. "And the Eternal Conquest's database?" A pause. "Still intact when we evacuated, sir. If they access it. They will have everything," Vazix finished. "Dominion fleet deployments, defense codes, homeworld coordinates." He slammed a clawed fist against the pod's wall. How? How did they adapt so quickly? "Sir, we are being hailed by the nearest Dominion outpost. Relay Station Praxis 9 has dispatched recovery vessels. Estimated arrival? 6 hours. Good. Once we are aboard, send an emergency transmission to High Command. Classification, extinction event." "Extinction event?" Lorix's voice betrayed her shock. "But sir, that classification hasn't been used since." "Since the Hive Mind Collective in Sector 17, yes. And we all remember how that ended." Vazix stared at the slowly receding Earth. "This is worse, Lorix. The Collective was predictable in its expansion. These humans, they are chaotic, innovative. They turned our own technology against us within days. Do you really believe they pose an existential threat to the Dominion?" Vazix recalled Admiral Williams' final words, the predatory smile on her alien face. "Yes," he said simply, "I do." 3 months later, Vazix stood before the Grand Council of the Kra-Vorn Dominion on the homeworld of Kra Magna. 7 Supreme Commanders, each representing a conquered sector of space, regarded him with expressions ranging from disbelief to barely concealed contempt. "You lost an entire subjugation fleet," Supreme Commander Dravik stated, his voice dripping with disdain. "To primitives." "Not primitives," Vazix corrected, standing tall despite his disgrace. "I underestimated them. We all did. Their technological advancement was modest, yes, but their adaptability and warfare tactics are unprecedented." "So you claim," Supreme Commander Malak said, adjusting her ceremonial armor. "Yet, in 7,000 cycles, no pre-warp civilization has ever repelled a Dominion fleet." "Until now," Vazix said firmly. "And that's precisely why we must take this threat seriously. The humans will not be content with merely defending their world. They stated their intentions clearly. They plan to strike back." Laughter rippled through the Grand Council chamber. "Strike back? Against the Dominion?" Dravik's mandibles clicked in amusement. "With what? A handful of stolen destroyers? We have thousands of warships across 7 sectors." Vazix stepped forward. "Supreme Commanders, I implore you to listen. These humans are unlike any species we have encountered. They learn at an exponential rate. They improvise in ways our tactical computers cannot predict. And most concerning of all, they have had access to our complete database for 3 months now." The chamber fell silent. "What are you suggesting?" Supreme Commander Trazix asked, the oldest and most experienced of the Council. "Full military mobilization," Vazix replied without hesitation. "Recall all conquest fleets. Fortify our core worlds. Establish new defensive perimeters. And prepare for An aide rushed into the chamber, interrupting the proceedings, a breach of protocol so severe that it could only mean emergency. "Forgive the interruption, Supreme Commanders," the aide said, bowing deeply. "But we have received reports from the outer systems. Multiple unidentified vessels have appeared at the edge of Dominion space." "Identification?" Dravik demanded. "Unknown, Supreme Commander. Their configuration doesn't match any known species in our database." "But," the aide hesitated. "Speak freely," Trazix commanded. "They appear to be Dominion vessels, but modified, heavily modified." Vazix felt his exoskeleton grow cold. "They are here already," he whispered. Aboard the Earth vessel Retribution, formerly the Kra-Vorn destroyer Merciless Victory, Admiral Tanya Williams studied the tactical display. Surrounding her were not just military personnel, but scientists, engineers, and civilian specialists from dozens of Earth nations. "Fleet status report," she ordered. Colonel Hiroshi Tanaka stepped forward. "All vessels reporting ready, Admiral." "Operation Pushback is a go." Williams nodded, surveying the bridge. Just 3 months ago, humans had never ventured beyond their own moon. Now they commanded a fleet of 67 warships, most of them captured and repurposed Dominion vessels, but some entirely new designs built using reverse-engineered alien technology. "Dr. Patel, status on the translation matrix?" Dr. Ara Patel looked up from his console. "Fully operational, Admiral. We can now intercept and decrypt all Dominion communications in real time." Their encryption algorithms were actually quite elegant, just predictable. "They haven't updated them in over 300 years. Complacency," Williams remarked. "The downfall of empires throughout human history. Seems some things are universal." General Marcus Reed, now serving as Fleet Tactical Officer, approached with a datapad. "Latest intelligence suggests the Dominion is scrambling to organize a defense. They still don't believe we are a serious threat." Williams smiled thinly. "Good. The first rule of warfare: never interrupt your enemy when they are making a mistake." She turned to address the bridge crew. 3 months ago, these aliens came to our world demanding surrender. They expected us to bow down, to accept subjugation. Instead, we showed them what humanity does best: adapt, overcome, and hit back harder than we are hit. She activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All ships, this is Admiral Williams. Today we bring the fight to the enemy's doorstep. Our mission is not conquest, we are not like them. Our mission is to secure Earth's future by ensuring the Dominion never threatens us again." Williams nodded to Communications Officer Eliza Jones. "Send the message we prepared. Let's introduce ourselves properly this time." On Crom Magna, the Grand Council watched in growing horror as the human fleet advanced through Dominion space with shocking efficiency. Outpost after outpost fell silent. The few distress calls that came through described the same scenario: human ships appearing suddenly, utilizing modified Dominion weapons in ways the Kra-Vorn had never considered, and vanishing before significant resistance could be mounted. "How are they moving so quickly?" Dravik demanded, all previous arrogance gone. "Our sensor networks should have detected them long before they reached the inner systems." Vazix, now reinstated as tactical advisor due to his first-hand experience with the humans, explained, "They are using our own stealth technology. But they have modified it. See these energy signatures. They have reconfigured the radiation recyclers to absorb our scanning beams rather than deflect them. In essence, the more we scan for them, the more invisible they become." "Brilliant," Lorix murmured, now serving as Vazix's aide. Supreme Commander Trazix rose from his seat. "We must negotiate. Now, before they reach more populated systems." "Negotiate?" Dravik sputtered. "With primitives?" "They ceased being primitives the moment they defeated our fleet," Trazix responded sharply. "And they have advanced considerably since then. Open a channel to their command vessel." The central hologram activated, displaying Admiral Williams on the bridge of her ship. The human appeared calm, almost casual in the face of the most powerful leaders of the Dominion. Supreme Commanders of the Krah-Vorn Dominion, she began, not waiting for them to speak first. My name is Admiral Tanya Williams of Earth. I believe one of you has already had the pleasure of meeting us. Vazix stepped forward. We have indeed, Admiral. Your adaptability was most impressive. Funny how that works, Williams replied. Turns out when you threaten a species with extinction, they get pretty motivated to survive. Who would have thought? Dravik bristled at her tone. You will show proper respect when addressing the Grand Council. Williams raised an eyebrow. Respect is earned, not demanded. Your empire has subjugated 63 peaceful worlds through intimidation and violence. From where I'm standing, you haven't earned anything but our contempt. You cannot hope to defeat the entire Dominion, Trazix said, more measured than his colleague. While your initial victories are concerning, we have resources beyond your comprehension. Oh, we comprehend them quite well, Williams countered. We have had 3 months with your complete database, remember? We know exactly what you have, where it is, and how to counter it. But here's the good news. We are not here to defeat you. The Supreme Commanders exchanged glances. Then what do you want? Trazix asked carefully. Williams leaned forward. Terms. Non-negotiable terms. First, the immediate liberation of all 63 subjugated worlds. Second, a demilitarized zone extending 5 light-years in all directions from Earth. Third, technology exchange protocols that benefit all species, not just the Krah-Vorn. Preposterous, Dravik exclaimed. The Dominion has ruled for 7,000 cycles. We will not be dictated to by. A junior communications officer interrupted. Supreme Commanders, we are receiving reports that the humans have disabled the planetary defense grid. Their ships are in orbit around Krah-Magna. They could strike at any moment. Silence fell over the chamber. How is this possible? Malox whispered. The defense grid has never been breached. Vazix stepped forward again. Because you designed it to repel enemies who think like you do. The humans don't. They never have. Williams' expression remained neutral. You have 1 hour to consider our terms. To show good faith, we won't fire on your homeworld during that time. But to demonstrate our resolve. The hologram split to show a Dominion military shipyard in orbit around Krah-Magna's second moon. As they watched, precision strikes from cloaked human vessels disabled the facility without destroying it. Casualties, Williams noted, just making a point. The transmission ended. Trazix turned to his fellow commanders. We have no choice. Their tactics are unpredictable, their technology advancing too rapidly. We cannot surrender to primitives. Dravik insisted, though his voice lacked conviction. They are not primitives, Vazix said firmly. Not anymore. And they never will be again. We have awakened something that should have been left alone. It's a species that spent its entire history fighting itself, perfecting the art of warfare against its own kind. And now, thanks to us, they have a common enemy and technology to match their aggression. Lorix stepped forward, data pad in hand. Analysis of their attack patterns shows they have been deliberately avoiding civilian targets. They could have caused massive casualties but chose not to. I believe their terms are sincere. Trazix nodded slowly. Then we accept their terms. And we hope they are more merciful conquerors than we have been. 6 months later, Vazix stood on an observation platform overlooking the newly established Galactic Cooperative Council on the neutral world of Terminus Prime. Below, representatives from Earth mingled with delegates from the formerly subjugated worlds and even some Krah-Vorn diplomats. Lorix joined him at the railing. Quite a change from a year ago, wouldn't you say, Vazix? He nodded, no longer bearing the title of High Commander. Indeed. The Dominion reduced to 1 sector, 63 worlds free for the first time in generations, and humans everywhere. They kept their word, Lorix observed. They didn't conquer us when they could have. No, Vazix agreed. That's what makes them so fascinating. They could have destroyed us, enslaved us as we would have done to them. Instead, they forced us to the negotiating table. Created this, he gestured at the council chamber below. Do you think we will ever truly understand them? Bozix watched as Admiral Williams, now Ambassador Williams, laughed at something a representative from the aquatic knoll havoc species said. No, their strength isn't just in their adaptability or their warfare. It's in their contradictions. They are violent yet merciful, individualistic yet unified, primitive yet innovative. A dangerous species to make an enemy of, Lorik said. Yes, but perhaps, Bozix paused, considering a notion that would have been unthinkable to any Krav-Vorn a year ago. Perhaps an even more valuable species to have as allies. Below, the inaugural session of the Galactic Cooperative was about to begin. Representatives from 90 worlds, including Earth, and Kra Magna took their seats. For the first time in 7,000 cycles, the Krav-Vorn would not be dictating terms but participating as equals. As Ambassador Williams took the podium to deliver the opening address, Bozix reflected on the chain of events that had led to this moment. The Dominion had wanted Earth's resources, just another conquest in millennia of expansion. Instead, they found something far more valuable, a lesson in humility, and perhaps a better way forward. The Dominion had wanted Earth's resources. They received humanity's innovation instead, and the galaxy would never be the same.